Howdy YouTube family, it's Bolt SRNA coming to you again with another day's topic. I got my buddy Dane Gaines here again. You can follow him over on Instagram at Dane Gaines. And we have got another topic for you today. We're talking about how our CRNA school experiences have been like Grey's Anatomy. What have we done with romance and dating and love life and stuff like that, and how does it resemble kind of the TV shows, soap opera stuff sometimes. So let's get into it. So like when you go into clinical and you're going around the hospital, is it like these people all trying to pull you into the call room, and is it all these scrub techs and circulators coming after you and stuff? Is it like that?
I mean, there's always going to be people who, nurses and people in the medical field do seem to always be kind of flirty and jokey and stuff like that. But I mean, of course it's not like TV, but there is always usually some kind of drama going on. There is some kind of drama. And I'm not going to blame it on the women because, this is guys and girls too, but there's always some kind of drama going on. Somebody's divorced, somebody's dating so-and-so, something. But, as far as being a CRNA student and, being in anesthesia school, I don't really even acknowledge any of that. I'm ready to do my job and I'm worried about taking care of my patient. I mean, it's not as glamorous and stuff as you see it on TV, but there always is drama and things like that going on.
True. And I agree that CRNA school, you are so stressed out. You're going into clinical so anxious and worried about the day especially in the first year or so of clinical. After a while, you're not as nervous all the time. But in the beginning especially, you're going in just totally focused on, you're running through in your memory of the drugs that you studied the night before that you may be using this day, or the type of procedure you're going to be doing that day and what it entails for your patient safety, the pathophysiology that might be going on with your patient that you looked up the night before. You're very focused on that, and you're really not going in there to flirt or talk or socialize or whatever. And in fact, you're told before you begin your rotations, like, you want to be a fly on the wall in rotations. You don't want to be standing out. You don't want to, be talking up and making a lot of a show of yourself in clinical, because with that brings more attention, and with more attention can bring more stress that you really don't need as a student. So no, it's not constantly people are flirting or giving you their numbers and stuff like that. Like Dane said, you will occasionally have people who flirt or make commentary or whatever, but I honestly feel like I come off kind of like a butthole sometimes, and not intentionally. It's not intentional at all, but it's because I am so serious and I am so focused on the patient and the anesthetic and the monitors and everything that's going on in the room, what the surgeon's doing, and coordinating with other team members and stuff. So when I've had girls occasionally make comments or things here, I can tell it's a little bit of advances or something, but typically I don't even respond, or I'll curtly make a comment that kind of lets it be known that I'm not there for that and I'm not interested or something. And later on you might kind of be kicking yourself for it because you're like at home by yourself that night, kind of lonely, and you're like, man, that'd be nice to go on a date. But in the moment when you're in clinical, you should be very serious. Most of us are very serious, focused on the patient, and we're not looking for anything salacious.
And most of the time, like you said, you're focused on that and you're terrified for pretty much the first 6 months.
Yes.
And then when you do get into your senior year, you start your specialty rotations, and then you're more terrified because you have a 4-day-old patient you have to intubate, or you have this incredibly sick cardiac patient who's been in the hospital for 5 months and probably won't leave the hospital. And,
right.
Or you're dealing with pissed off pregnant women who want an epidural right now.
Or and sick pregnant women.
You just don't have, it's not the mindset that you're in and the time, and your response probably isn't what it would be if you ran into them at the grocery store or something and they said something to you.
You're stressed out, you're sweating probably, your catecholamines are probably through the roof, your brain is on overdrive mode to think about all the different types of things that could be happening that you need to, counteract. Your parasympathetic nervous system, which is responsible for rest and digest and sexual function and stuff, that is completely shut down typically in clinicals for me, and I think most other people too. And so you're not really thinking of, your brain is not really in that kind of mindset. And even afterwards, like I'm at I've been at clinical sites where you stay in the call room each night, and so you do like a long 12 or 13 hour day, then you stay in the call room at night, and you go back to the call room, and even then you go back to the call room and you're just like so tired that you couldn't even imagine. Like, you think about these Grey's Anatomy episodes where they're hooking up in the call room and goofing off or whatever while their beepers are on them, or they're, at any time their patient could crash and they're like fooling around. It's like, I don't operate like that. I could not do that. If I know that I have a C-section patient coming up, or I have somebody who, an emergency surgery that might be coming through the ER or something, I'm definitely not interested in romance or anybody coming to the call room with me or anything like that. So I don't know how they do that on that TV show, but that's not how I operate.
It's definitely not television. This is real life. And I think a lot of the people that are in the medical field, they really realize that, and they know it's different. And it's usually people that are outside of the medical field that see you and they, oh, well, he does anesthesia and this, and they like the scrubs and Dr. So-and-so or whatever, and they're the ones usually that view it as being like Grey's Anatomy, and find it attractive more so sometimes than people that are in the medical field that do it every single day.
I will say I do have one story. So I did date a resident. She worked, actually when we started dating, I was not rotating at this hospital that she was a resident at the time. So we started dating, and then I ended up starting a rotation at that hospital shortly after that. And it was a little awkward because I would see her there or see her friends there that I knew through her, and they would be there, doing, rounds on their patients or whatever, and I'd be there pre-oping the patient for an anesthetic, or, going to take the patient to the OR for an anesthetic. I'd see them. And so in that sense, it was a little bit unusual. And we would go to lunch together. When I would go to lunch, she would take her lunch and we'd go sit in the cafeteria. But we didn't do anything abnormal or, romantic at all, because patients were around us, families of the patients that we were treating were around us. We were very professional. And then actually over time, we ended up splitting. And it was a little awkward because I ended up coming back there months later to do another rotation, and I did see her and her friends and stuff. So in that sense, there was a little bit of that kind of drama. It never got unprofessional or anything like that. We're still on very good terms. But there was a few moments that are kind of like that. But no, there was never anything, like the TV show.
I personally made it a specific decision, a specific choice not to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Because exactly like you said, and honestly it's the truth, if in anesthesia school, it's a good thing to fly under the radar. It's a good thing to not draw attention to yourself just because if something does happen, or you don't want anything associated with you. If somebody pegs you as a flirt or something like that, you don't want to get a bad reputation around these places who may possibly be your employer one day.
Right.
And you don't want to shoot yourself in the foot at an employment opportunity. Mm-hmm. And honestly, you don't have time for it.
Right.
There's been a couple of people maybe that have started relationships in our program, but that's going to be probably toward the first year. Mm-hmm. Once you get into the second year, you're not going to have a lot of time to go on dates. Mm-hmm. Or really, the way I look at it is, most women, they're not going to feel like you care enough. They're not going to feel appreciated with the time that you do have to put toward it. Right. You may have some time on the weekend, sometimes here and there, after clinical at 5 or 6 to text for maybe 15 or 20 minutes before you have to start studying and getting your surgeries for the next day and thinking about your anesthetic plan for your patients for the next day, while you're all logging everything you did that previous day and trying to rack your brain to remember that.
Right.
You just don't have a lot of time, and most people are going to feel like you're not putting in effort simply because you don't have as much time as normal people.
Right. That's a very good point. So even the people who say, just you're on a Tinder app or something like that, and you think you can, just find some girl and start dating them, or if you're looking for, if you're a girl looking for a guy or something, whoever you're looking for, you're going to find that you have no time really available to go hang out with them and spend time with them. And for new relationships especially, that person is going to expect you to be invested in them. They're going to expect you to say, like, I want to spend time with you. I want to go to the movies with you. I want to go to dinner with you. I want to, go see your family with you after church on Sundays or whatever. And you just won't have that kind of time. Like you won't, and if you try and invest a lot of time to make it happen, you're probably going to jeopardize your schooling. And most of you, if you've gotten to CRNA school, you're not going to jeopardize your schooling for a new relationship. That would not be wise. So most people just, you try it. It probably doesn't, like you were dating a dentist at one point, and tried to get that, but after a while there's just not the time that you need to invest. And most girls, and I'll even say guys, and they're not going to like you saying that you're busy all the time and not able to see them, and girls especially are not going to feel like you value them if you're busy all the time. Or like what happened with me in my situation, it'd be like, okay, I have exactly 45 minutes. You can come over. We can watch one episode of one Netflix show, and then it'll be 8:45 and you have to leave, because then I have to study for an hour and then go to bed right on time because I have to be up at 4 a.m. to drive to this clinical site or whatever. And then she'd be like, well, okay, we can do that tonight, but then am I going to see you tomorrow night? It's like, no, I won't be available for another 5 days. So I'll see you in 5 days, and I'll have 2 hours available in 5 days. It's just not
Most
romantic.
people just don't understand, and they're like, well, it only takes 5 seconds to give me a good morning text. Okay, if you want that at 4:30 in the morning,
right?
And then nothing for the rest of the day, because I'm going to be in the OR at 6 o'clock, and I'm not going to have my phone on me, and I may have 20 minutes to cram down my food, and my priority is not going to be wondering if you text me back or not.
Right.
My priority is going to be getting back and making sure my patient's okay.
Right. So we say all that to say, CRNA school, not really like Grey's Anatomy. I don't think anything is really like Grey's Anatomy.
Sorry to disappoint.
Sorry to disappoint you, who thought you were going to go into CRNA school and have all these, interesting romance things. And also, just besides Grey's Anatomy, just general romance and dating in CRNA school, that's going to be very tricky for you. If you already have a marriage and a long-term relationship, we have seen people make those work, and that's okay. You will definitely have stress on that relationship no matter what. I think everybody who's been married in our class has probably had moments that they've had extreme stress in their relationship.
We're both single, by the way.
We are, yeah. Hey, there you go. That's right. Hit him up, Dane Gaines over there. I'm Bolt SRNA on Instagram. You will have stress on your relationship if you go to CRNA school and you're married and stuff. People make it work. Everybody, I don't think we've only had one person divorced in our class throughout CRNA school.
And that really wasn't related to CRNA school.
Yeah, probably not exactly that. But anyway, so I'm not saying if you're married, you're going to divorce if you go to CRNA school or anything like that. It's just going to be stressful. I'm sure you guys know that. You're going to go in prepared for that. That is all we have to say about romance and all that in the CRNA school. If you have any questions, comments, or whatever, you can hit us up on Instagram. You can hit us up in the comments below. Like the video if you like this kind of content. I'll know to do more stuff like this. That's more like human interest stuff and less, specific anesthesia stuff. That's Bolt out.